so let's talk about the Hoodoo Sports Impulse 105. This is a 10.5-foot boat, and we're going to cover through some of the specifics on it. This is the dual drive kayak, 31.5 inches wide. It's 90 pounds with just the hull, and it carries about 398 pounds on capacity. So let's talk about some of the specific features of this boat. We're going to start here in the middle with these dry hatches here. As you open those up, they are locking. They are open to the inside here in a molded compartment, so it's not open to the inside of the hull of the boat. You're not having to worry about losing anything up inside there. It's a little bit smaller than some compartments, but great for some of your smaller tackle or keys or wallets, things like that. As we move along, you've got two gear pads, one on each side for mounting anything you'd like. Of course, they are just bolted in. Those can be removed and a new plate put in if you happen to drill too many holes or whatnot. So if you need something different, they have the scupper plugs that comes with the boat that allows the water to drain out. Moving further down is the rudder controls on your left-hand side, and that moves the rudder back and forth. We'll get it panned through there. And as you move those cables need to be tightened up, but would move your rudder back and forth. This seat is something that is absolutely exceptional on the Hoodoo kayaks, especially the Impulse. That is the adjustable seat down here. See if we can see this. You've got an adjustable seat that can come up to a high position or maintain the low position for paddling out. Gives you a much better options as far as standing up in the kayak and sitting back down without having to worry about going all the way down to the bottom. The paddle leash right here, the little paddle catch. Stow your paddle on either side. There's one on the other side as well. Two rod holders, one on each side built in. And then right here is another little gear catch for storing plano boxes or other tackle boxes that you might have. And then you have a very generous back end for holding a cooler or any other type of gear that you might want to take. This hatch here is really more for accessing cables and things like that in the back. It goes through into your cables for your rudder. You can run lights, any other electronics through there as well. Gives you access to the inside of the hull. Of course, your rudder for steering. Drain holes. These here, a lot of folks ask about what this is. Of course, you can put anything that's a bar across here, but they are specifically designed for something like landing gear, which are big wheels that go on the side of your kayak you can haul in and out. So the rudder control cord here, this is your lift cord. Pulling on this raises your rudder, and you can just lock it in with the little cleat. That other paddle holder, the other gear plate. And then, of course, a cup holder. Got to have those. Those are ever so important. I want to point out, too, that the seat actually sits on this extra long gear track through here. You can actually add other gear, anything you can screw into those little nuts that are down in there. They slide back and forth. And then you also have two accessory gear tracks on either side up in front. We're going to talk about the pedal drive here in just a second, but we're going to move on up here. This hole here is for a mast. They manufacture a pole mast for a sail. And then this other gear track up here is standard with most Impulses, but it also helps to accept the other type of pedal drive. This is the dual drive. It accepts the propeller drive as opposed to the fin drive that we've got installed. Looking at the storage compartment in the front, very generous space for storing anything that you want to stay dry for the most part, but it does do a really good job about keeping the water out of here just as a splash guard. Water is able to drain back into the hull and down into the scuppers. But nice deep space here for storing any accessories that you might have. It's molded into the kayak, so it's not going to be taking on condensation or water from the inside of the hull that you might find on other kayaks. And of course the carry handles. So now why don't we talk a little bit about this little thing here, which is the dual drive function for the Hoodoo Impulse boats. You get either what they call the pedal drive, which is a propeller, or the fin drive, which is what's installed here right now. And I'll show you both of those here real quick. Okay, let's dive into the heart of the Impulse kayak from Hoodoo Sports. That is, of course, the dual drive system for the hull. What they mean by dual drive is that it can accept both the fin drive system that you see here, as well as a propeller drive system that I'll show you in a second. But let's take a look first at the fin drive system. It sits into this compartment with the plastic into the hull, and as you press it back and forth, much like a stair stepper, it doesn't make a full revolution. The fins themselves, if I take them out, are moving back and forth. Okay, very much like the flippers on a scuba diver. Now this hull design, as I mentioned before, is dual drive. For the fin drive to be mounted to this kayak, I would also install another plastic cleat like you may see back here in the back on the either side of the front. The hull of this boat was shipped as the propeller drive system, and I'll show you how easy it is to switch that out with these bolts up here in the front, as well as the exact same clip back here. And we'll show you how easy it is to switch this drive system out simply by removing the plastic insert and the drive system together. Installing the plastic insert for the propeller drive, which utilizes the bolts up front that you may have seen and wondered what they were. It's in there. Those would get screwed down into the bolts. The back pin would go in. Propeller drive fits down into it. Hooks into the pivot point up here. And a nice snug fit into this clamp to hold it down. And you're ready to go. So now you've got your propeller drive instead of the fin drive. So, propeller or fin drive, which do you choose? And that's honestly going to be a personal preference choice, but there is some decision to be made about how or where you're going to be utilizing this. If, of course, you're utilizing these pedal drives in a weedy environment, some places up in northern Missouri or smaller ponds, the propeller can give you some trouble as far as winding up on some vegetation. However, Hoodoo has designed theirs very well to keep most of that vegetation out. It would simply get wrapped around the prop if it's in heavy vegetation. Light vegetation is not going to give it a problem. On the fin drives, of course, you don't have that as much of an issue, because you're simply flapping back and forth. You're going to avoid a lot of those issues with the weeds. The one drawback to the fin, as we discussed before, is it is a forward momentum only, whereas you do have direct drive on the propeller to decide if you want to go forward or back instant. The other feature that you want to take into consideration on these two is how they move on the legs. If you've got knee issues or hip issues, you may find that the stair stepper feel of just a simple back and forth, or the full rotation of the pedal drive may affect you differently. So if you're looking for something for your hips, your knees, even your lower back, one might be a little better or easier for you over the other, depending on your personal preference. Quick little bonus content: if you are looking at a boat with a pedal drive, know that most of those boats are going to sacrifice speed and agility for stability. You're sitting up higher in a large seat. In order to give yourself the comfort and ability to pedal these, you really do need to be utilizing the pedal drive or the fin drive in order to power those types of boats. The boats are designed that way. That's why they weigh more. That's why they're wider, and why they might not be as a good choice for somebody who's wanting to go long distance or hunt for fish way back up inside a long cove, a long distance from the boat ramp, whatever it might be. So something to take into consideration when you're looking at a pedal drive versus a paddle powered kayak. If you like these types of videos, please hit that like button. Let us know in the comments if you liked it, if you wanted to know more information. I'd love to hear from you. I'm Luke with Sports Adventures. Thanks again for coming along.